about the integrity of our law enforcement system and the values we hold dear. The role of sheriff is pivotal in upholding justice and maintaining public trust. However, when the governor appoints an individual tainted by corruption, it erodes the very foundation of our legal system. It sends a distressing message to our community that dishonesty and malfeasance can find a home within the ranks of those entrusted with our safety. We must demand accountability from our leaders and question the motivation behind such appointments. A corrupt sheriff compromises the fairness of law enforcement, potentially allowing criminal activities to go unchecked, while undermining the confidence citizens place in those sworn to protect them. This is revealed in the FDLE report, which called for the prosecution of Keith Pearson stemming from criminal activity. We believe that the governor and his staff were not aware of this report. So with this new information, we expect the Governor DeSantis would rectify the situation immediately. As citizens and elected officials, we have a duty to safeguard the principles that our society is built upon. It is our responsibility to voice our concerns and demand transparency in the selection of public officials. Let us unite in the pursuit of justice and incite on a law enforcement system that reflects the values we hold dearly: honestly, fairness, transparency, and the pursuit of a safer, more just society. In conclusion, we must remain vigilant, holding our leaders accountable for their decisions. The appointment of our corrupt sheriff is not only a threat to justice, but also a challenge to very essence of our democracy. Together, let's stand against corruption and work towards a law enforcement system that truly serves and protects the interests of the people. Therefore, the Republican Executive Committee of St. Lucie County calls upon the Governor, Ron DeSantis, to open an ethics investigation, and we demand the immediate removal of Sheriff Keith Pearson. I would also like to go ahead and introduce Kathy Townsend, who's here, County Commissioner. She has a few comments that she would like to make, and then I'll answer any questions y'all may have.
I just want to say that the men and women in law enforcement deserve to have fair opportunity. There should have been an application process, there should have been an interview process, and there should have been somebody appointed to this position that has neutral grounds so that the men and women have a year to prepare to serve for the next new sheriff of St. Lucie County. Thank you all for being here today.
And now I'll take some questions already.
What action have you taken, or have you heard back from the governor's office, aside from this news conference, sending a letter, I believe, to the governor's office? What other actions been taken to try to get answers?
We have contacted the governor's office, sent the letters, numerous phone calls, and they've gone unanswered.
So still no more insight into how Pearson's name sort of rose to the top of the stack for this appointment?
Insight?
No.
There's speculation. You know, the governor was here on November 15th for a fundraiser. And shortly after that, I know Mr. Pearson was in the room, and I believe that there was something done.
So you believe he knew before the weekend?
Yes, I believe that what he has said in the media is a lie.
Well, can you clarify? So you said you believe what he said in the media was a lie. You mean you believe what Pearson said about what specifically was a lie?
Knowing that he was going to be selected as sheriff 30 minutes before the announcement of the departure of Ken Mascara.
So you thought he knew days, hours?
I'm sure that he knew on the 15th that this was going to happen, 15th of November.
So Pearson issued a statement, kind of in response, I assume, to these calls for him to be removed, saying in part, he intends on using the action, making and enforcing our laws and keeping our community safe to earn the honor of this appointment. All I ask of our other elected officials is that they give me and the men and women of the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office the chance to prove to them what we can do. What do you say to that?
I'd like to respond to that.
Well, let me just go ahead and respond to one thing. when you are part of a ghost candidate to go ahead and run in a Republican primary, that's disgusting. And listen, this Republican Party, we're not going to go ahead and tolerate that. This man is unethical. He should not even be our dog catcher. There is no doubt in my mind this man knew what he was doing. He was part of this, and he needs to be removed, and he should actually resign if he has any integrity at all. Kathy?
Just to answer your question, Megan, if he did not know about this until 30 minutes prior, why was he within 24 hours removing all the decals with Ken Mascara's name on them? It takes at least 24 hours to turn around to get decals made to put on buildings. I also believe that if he wants transparency, then it's okay if you want to run for a seat. It's okay that you're appointed. But you should still contact the officials that you have to partner with and make a respectful phone call to them and show that you want unity and be transparent about that. And for you to say that you don't know if you're running and 24 hours later you file for a seat, you knew you were going to run. And so I'm having a hard time trying to get behind somebody that is stating he wants to do the right thing, but yet he started off in the first 24 hours by stating 3 different things that were not truth and fact. And so I clearly do hope that he can step up to the plate and he does want to be a team player, because I'm very, very concerned about our law enforcement at this time right now.
Kathy, how frustrated are you?
I'm frustrated, but I'm more hurt, I think, and more concerned for the residents and for the sheriff deputies that serve. He has went in there and he has removed people from offices. He has demoted people. And those people needed a year. They knew that a new sheriff was coming. They had a year to put their lives in order. They had a year to build relationships with the men that were running and had filed. And for them to be taken away from a position that they did not see coming and removed to a lower status, and some people, may even be looking at losing their jobs, that's not the right thing to do, and that's not the leadership I want in this community. I'm also concerned about people that are speaking out against him, that there will be retaliation.
So what happens next? You haven't heard from the governor. Where do you go from here?
I have not heard from the governor. I don't expect to hear from the governor. And the sad thing about that is, this is the REC. The REC does not speak for all Republicans in St. Lucie County. There are thousands of Republicans that are not affiliated with the REC. And I would think that he would want more from a Republican voter than to even base an opinion on anything with an REC. But look at all voters, because there's thousands of them in St. Lucie County, and I don't think he's made the right decision. I think that he should have sat there and had an application process, which he did not do. There was no conversation with anybody. There was no applications. There was no efforts for anybody to receive a resume. This was all done behind closed doors.
Do you think he's going to be here for the rest of the term?
I do believe that he will be able to serve out this term, and then come January of 2025, your new sheriff will be elected, because I do not see Mr. Pearson winning. From the phone calls I have received, there are a lot of disappointed men and women in law enforcement and a lot of disappointed residents.
The sheriff had mentioned some health concerns, and we've been trying to kind of figure out if he's okay. Have you talked to the former Sheriff Mascara to see what his health ills are? Or?
I have not spoke to Sheriff Mascara. I have been told that he does have something going on with his eyes. I will say that Ken was a sheriff that was active, and Ken was somebody that went out there and he did do the agility and he did do the stuff with his men and women to stay fit. I don't know that he's no longer fit. I have expected this day to happen where he would step down and resign due to a medical. This is nothing new to me. This is something I've been expecting for the last 6 months. However, I'm blindsided like everybody else in this county about the appointment that lieutenant is bypassed by majors and captains of our law enforcement.
And I just want to say one thing, because that was one point. How does someone, and this is maybe the media can help us answer this question, is to find out from the governor's office, how does somebody with no leadership experience whatsoever, a lieutenant, bypass the captains and bypass the majors? How does this happen? We deserve better here in St. Lucie County.
I have to ask Rich Williams, who was running in 2020, who's essentially the so-called
Sure.
victim, you could say, of this ghost campaign. He says he tried to tell the GOP back then that this was going on, and he said it fell upon deaf ears. Is it the pot calling the kettle black to now take it seriously?
No, not at all. And for him to go ahead and say that we did not take it serious, I believe that he is mistaken. I was only the vice chairman at the time. This complaint that came to FDLE's light, maybe Mr. Williams is not aware of this, but I did invite him here today. He did say he was going to be here. But just so you know that it was myself personally that took this over to the FDLE on the West Coast in Tampa and make sure it was out of this county because I did not trust the authorities in this county to do the right thing.
So what discussion did you have with Mr. Williams?
Oh, it was very friendly. He was going to be here today because
No, I mean about in the past when you said this.
Oh, him and I have always been friends. Yeah, it was very friendly. We've always talked, but I'm not sure why he was disappointed. I did see his statement that he put on his, I think, Facebook today, but I mean, maybe he wasn't aware of what we did do, but there's nothing we can do. I mean, the ballots were already counted. I mean, to be able to prove this, it was, at the time, and to be able to reverse something, it was impossible. He knew that. But I think that he was looking for something higher up, maybe a possible DeSantis to go ahead and come in and look at it, an investigation a little bit quicker. But those are things that are out of our control here at the Republican Executive Committee. All we can do is go ahead and speak about it and give it to the authorities, and in this case, it was brought directly to the FDLE.
And you guys were saying that you want Pearson to step down. Is there someone you want in his place?
Well, it doesn't matter to us. Our position is that we want someone with honest and integrity. And listen, when you got your captains and your majors, any of those, back in April 2022, we did do something historic here involving this race, and we've never done any race before. And that is, we did go ahead, indeed, we nominated Rich Del Toro as a body. We nominated Rich Del Toro, who's now the chief of police in Port St. Lucie, to go ahead and represent the Republican Party in St. Lucie County as a sheriff candidate. And that's never been done that early before, and it is historic. And it was 100%. It was not one person in the entire Republican Executive Committee. We have over 100 members, and it was 100% vote for him. You can't get anybody in the Republican Party to agree with 100%,
But in all fairness, personally, I'm only speaking for myself. I don't believe that it should have been appointed Rich Del Toro. He is a candidate,
Yeah.
and I think he believes a fair process of being elected. It needed to be somebody that was in retired law enforcement, somebody that had been a prior undersheriff. There are a lot of those good men left in St. Lucie County today that would be willing to step up to the plate had they had that opportunity. In order for every candidate to have a fair option at getting elected, it should have not been anybody currently serving in law enforcement that's running for office.
And yeah, there are quite a few people who've already jumped in this race other than Rich Del Toro. I'm sure each and every one of them, even the Democrat candidates, would have loved to have an opportunity to be able to go ahead and be part of a process to fill that information out and be considered. And that process was not adhered to.
Does this change your perspective in future elections? If you know, hey, this has gone on in your backyard before, do you worry this could happen again? Is there anything more you see as a party trying to triple check kind of who's on the ballot, or what can you do to sort of stop this from happening again?
What is your name?
Megan.
Megan, let me just let you know, this has actually happened before. And I think it was in 2012. We've actually had a race here for clerk of the court, where Joe Smith was our previous clerk of the court. And the Democrat Party, and along with him, they went ahead and came up with a scheme. Martha Hornsby ran against him. She was another fellow Democrat. And what they did, and what Mr. Joe Smith did, was to go ahead and take his mother-in-law and put her in as a write-in candidate for the purpose of knocking out the Republican voters who would not be eligible to vote in that race.
But to clarify, it was not Joe Smith's mother-in-law.
Oh, I thought that was.
It was his attorney, Travis Walker's mother.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Okay. Thank you very much, Kathy. I can get in trouble for that.
So kind of going back though, what can be done? Can anything be done to catch this before votes are made?
I
Seems
think
like a lot of this is caught after the fact of an election.
Yes, but I think a lot of it has already been corrected, because right now we have the strongest Republican Executive Committee this county has ever seen, and it takes a strong members to go ahead and pay attention to these things that happen. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Listen, we're going to go ahead and make sure that never happens again. We have people within the Republican Party that are constantly going to supervise elections to be able to verify things. We're on top of it. And just so you know, if we see something like that again, we're not going to keep our mouth shut. We're going to come to all you folks here today that came out to go ahead and cover this, and we're going to expose it when it happens.
Why, I mean, it sounds like you've had a tough time kind of getting the governor's ear on this to hear your concerns and to
Sure.
allay your fears or whatever. Why do you think it's so difficult to get his attention, given that you are the Republican Party of St. Lucie County, his party? Why do you think it's so difficult to get a response from them?
That's a really good question. I was hoping maybe you all would be able to help us out with that.
In what way?
Contacting the governor.
I've reached out to the
Oh,
governor.
yeah, me too.
Well, there you go, crickets. I do not know why. I do not. I would like to actually think. Listen. We have the best governor that this state of Florida has ever had. I'm a native Floridian. I'm born and raised here in Florida. Having said that, we have the best. I would like to think that Governor DeSantis does not know about this. It is his staff. I believe that staff has made a mistake, and I'm doing everything I can to get the governor's ear, and I would like to go ahead and hear something from him direct. Is telling him this is his position, and then it will be whatever it is. But yeah, I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows. Anything else? All right, thanks, guys.
It's a wrap.
Thank you very much for coming, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
You doing good?